What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Seeking Sister Wife Season 4, Episode 10. Let's get started with the Merrifield family, Garrick and Dannielle. So they've made it to Brazil to snatch up their woman, Roberta, and take her back to Colorado. Now, I don't know if she's going to be leaving with them when they go back, or if Roberta's going to stay, try to tie up some loose ends in Brazil before she officially gets on the plane to go to Colorado permanently. I'm not really sure. So Garrick and Dannielle have hired a translator. They don't want anything lost in translation when it comes to making Roberta understand that she is going to be coming with them to Colorado, and they want to make sure that her mother understands your daughter is going to be leaving you and coming with us to Colorado. They want to make sure that they progress with getting Roberta on that plane to Colorado, because Roberta has been lollygagging around, dragging her feet. And so they're here to put that fire under her to be like, okay, you only have, so much time left on your visa before it expires, or we have to start all over with this whole process. And, we'll be damned if we have to do that. So you need to kind of, let's go, let's get a move on, Roberta, and let's get on this plane and get to Colorado. So they've rented an Airbnb, and they make it a point to tell us that Dannielle's going to have her own room and Roberta and Garrick are going to have their own room. Now, that is a pretty big Airbnb. So, yeah, that's huge. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I don't know how long they're going to be staying there, and I don't know if Roberta is going to be sleeping with Garrick in his room the whole entire time that they're down there. That's going to be interesting to find out. Now, just because they're there to get Roberta, and because they're reuniting with Roberta, and Roberta and Garrick are reigniting their flame. I'm wondering if Garrick and Dannielle will take advantage of this trip as a couple, to do couples things and to spend time with one another, because they've never been to Brazil before. Obviously, it's a very beautiful country. Are they going to take advantage of this little mini vacation, or is it just about Garrick and Roberta and, trying to get Roberta back to Colorado? So Roberta comes over, and when they reunite, it's a lot of tears, a lot of emotion. We know how it is with Garrick. You know how he just, whenever he's around Roberta, he's just weak. Okay, so he's just crying and crying and crying. Roberta's emotional, but Roberta's like happy tears. Garrick is kind of like, he's just so deep in emotion. He's happy to see her, of course, but it's like this gut wrenching emotion that he's going through whenever he sees Roberta. Like, like he found his salvation, like he was on the brink of death, and here comes Roberta breathing new life into him. That's how he appears whenever he's around Roberta. And Dannielle is off in the peripheral, just trying to get, half of a hug from somebody. So they all sit down with the translator to have a very serious conversation. Garrick is still quite emotional. His eyes are still wet and red. Roberta, she's emotional as well. But like I said, she's like happy to see them. Whereas Garrick is, barely hanging on, and he's wiping away her tears. Now, I have a thing about, but never mind. So he's wiping away her tears, and yeah, it's very, Garrick is still like in the feels. He's very deep, deep, deep in the feels. And so Roberta tells them that she wants to wait until she gets to the United States before they even consider having children. She does not want to get pregnant in Brazil, so she wants to wait until they get to the United States. Now, your girl Dannielle was extremely relieved when she heard that, because if Roberta had gotten pregnant in Brazil and for some reason decided not to go to the United States, she would end up losing Garrick probably half the year, if she's lucky, not the whole year, because he would be traveling back and forth, spending time with Roberta, with their child in Brazil, and going back to the United States. And so she didn't want that at all. At least if the baby's born in Brazil, she can keep her man. She can keep her man around. But this whole situation, the way I see Garrick and the way he is with Roberta, I mean, the whole thing is just unpredictable as far as like, what Garrick is capable of doing, because he seems like so deeply I don't know if he's in love, in lust, infatuated with, maybe it's all three with Roberta. That if Roberta told him, hey, let's not go back, let's just stay here, or let's go to the moon together, Garrick would be like, okay, let me go pack my bags. And he wouldn't even give Dannielle a thought. So Dannielle tries to push away her feelings of jealousy and insecurity, because because she sees her husband, deeply in love with another woman. That right there, I don't understand, because I think it's, and there's always a main wife who was with the guy, for a very long time before a new woman is introduced. And then like the main wife or the first wife has to watch her man fall in love with this new woman. I think it's kind of like, if a woman is with a man and this relationship starts off knowing that this is going to be polygamy, then that first wife is prepared. Like, okay, I know that my time with him alone is temporary because pretty soon we're going to be adding on. But if you started off as a regular traditional monogamous relationship and then somewhere along the line, y'all got this notion to do polygamy, and then, for so long, it was just you and your husband, you were in love with him, loving him, whatever. And then now y'all have changed your lifestyle and now it's polygamy. And now you have to switch your mind from monogamy to polygamy and watch your husband fall in love with another woman and completely lose his mind whenever this other woman is around. I don't know how Dannielle does it. Dannielle, do you drink? Is that how you're coping with these feelings? Like, how do you do it? Especially when it seems like Dannielle herself has very strong feelings for Garrick. It's kind of different with Brenda, because with Brenda, she entered into it with, as this is polygamy, this is plural, people are going to be coming in and out of our lives. So she entered it knowing it, but she's still kind of, weak for that guy. But with Dannielle, it didn't start off that way. I don't think it started off that way. I think they started off as a traditional and then went to polygamy. But whatever. She has to witness Garrick become what he's become, become what Roberta has turned him into. And that's like Roberta's man. Dannielle, you're with Roberta's man. That's basically what it is now. Good luck with all of that. Moving on to the Davis family, April, Jennifer, and Nick. So we find out that Jennifer is pregnant, and this has already been leaked online. Everybody's been talking about it. She is pregnant with a baby girl. And I'm like, was she pregnant before they even began filming? Because last week, your girl Jennifer didn't have a bump. This week, she has a bump, a very visible, protruding baby bump. Like, what? Did y'all take a 4-month break from last week's episode? Or was she already pregnant? Like, what? Anyway, so she's pregnant. April is excited, and as she's talking about, the welcoming of this new life, April, she's getting all emotional, she's crying, and she's like, oh, I'm just so grateful to take part in being a mother and raising of this child. But then later on, she talks about how she had to push back feelings of jealousy because it wasn't her having Nick's baby, because this is Nick's first biological child. And so she was talking about how she had to like have a conversation with herself about her feelings when they found out that Jennifer was pregnant, and like she was struggling with this in the beginning. So I don't know if she's truly happy about Jennifer having Nick's baby or if she's just putting on an act. Dannielle is with them when they go baby shopping for this baby. And Dannielle is kind of like in the peripheral. She's sort of like in the background now. Dannielle says that she understands that she will not be the focus of attention because, Jennifer's pregnant. There's going to be, a baby in the home or whatever. And she's like, she's just trying to, be there to support them and, I guess take her position somewhere in the background because it's all about Jennifer now. So Nick is going to be a stay-at-home dad. I wonder how he's going to handle all of that because he's so used to his time being his own, because he's reading all of these books on mathematics and whatever else, and physics and chemistry. That's all he does all day long while his women go to work. He's not playing video games and he's not online chatting with other females. He's just, he has all of these books of science and math, and he's just trying to expand his knowledge. Well, now he's going to have to put his books to the side and change diapers and feed and burp and put babies down for a nap and all of this. And I don't know if Nick can handle that. I have a feeling that he's probably going to convince one of these women to stay at home with him. So I think that's kind of funny. They've talked about Dannielle, that they do want her to be a part of their family. They plan on proposing to her. Um, yeah. Oh, and then when they go to the shop, when they're doing the baby shopping, Nick, as soon as they walk in, Nick says, he shouts out, we're having a baby, or my wife's pregnant, or something like that. And then when they're at the register paying for the stuff, the conversation starts with the cashier about, so okay, y'all are having a baby, so are you, I don't know, I think April was talking to them, and so the lady was like, oh, so you're her friend? And April was like, no, that's my wife, and that's my husband, and this is our other wife. And they kind of, to me, it seemed like they were trying to make it look like, oh, we always have to explain ourselves to people, but y'all came in announcing that y'all were pregnant. I mean, y'all were bringing attention to yourselves when Nick said that. But I kind of felt like the conversation at the register, they're trying to act like, we always have to explain ourselves and whatever. It's like, no, you don't have to explain a damn thing. Just don't announce when you walk in to an establishment that y'all are having a baby. Just buy the stuff, pay for it, and go home. Moving on to the Jones family, Sidian and Tasha. So Sidian feels like he is falling in love with Ariel. I'm going to have to go with what he says. I kind of don't believe him at all. I'm just not buying it, but that's what he says, and so I got to go with it. Sidian says that things are very natural between them, and he's considering, proposing to her because he explains to Ariel, for you to come with us, or for you to go to the United States, after you arrive in 90 days, we're gonna have to get married. And so Ariel says, okay, so you mean I'll come on a fiance visa? So then she calls a friend who explains, whether or not the process in the Philippines of applying for a visa or whatever. And so after COVID or whatever, things are opening back up, and so they started the application process again. So people are able to start applying for their visas, and the fiance visa is like a priority now. They move you, I guess, to the head of the line if you have a fiance visa. So Stadium is like, I don't have a lot of time, and I want her to come back. I want her to come to the United States with us. I want her to be with us. So he has to propose to her. So first he wants to talk to Tasha about it. So he calls Tasha, and Tasha was kind of like, a little bit doubtful because it's moving so fast. And she's like, are you sure? Are you ready to do this? Because Tasha was under the impression that he was going to go meet her, they're going to feel each other out, and then come back, and then they'll decide whether or not they want her to join their family. But Sidian is ready to make that decision now. And so it kind of took Tasha by surprise a little bit. But then she was like, you know what? If she's down, you're down, then I'm down. Let's do this. What's the point of delaying it if we're all in agreement that this is what we want to do? So that's what they're going to start doing. I wonder if they're going to move them to 90 Day Fiance, the show 90 Day Fiance. So now since that is what they're doing now. Sidian also tells Tasha, yeah, I want to go ahead and marry her because she's a huge catch. I know he's attracted to her, but I'm just not buying that he's falling in love with her, and this is the love of his life and all of that. Moving on to the Foley family, Brenda and Steve. So Brenda says that the communication between her and April has improved. It's a whole lot better now, and April feels the same. She says that her and Brenda are getting along a whole lot better. She's making herself more available to Brenda. She's opening up more to Brenda, basically giving Brenda exactly what Brenda wanted. And April says that if her and Steve didn't work out, then her and Brenda will still remain BFFs. But heaven forbid, if her and Brenda no longer get along, then she'll have to break it off with Steve. So they're in the kitchen and they're cooking an El Salvadoran meal, pupusas. And Steve is like, this is how I imagined life to be as a polygamist. My two wives in the kitchen, cooking, laughing, talking. This is what he's dreamt of all his life. So they've told April that they're building a home, but they haven't told her that it's for a polygamous lifestyle. And I'm thinking to myself, what makes a home for a polygamous lifestyle? How is a polygamous home any different from a regular home with a whole bunch of rooms and a whole bunch of bathrooms? Like, I don't understand that. Are there like several living rooms, like little houses within a house? Like, what are you talking about? So in their confessional, I'm sorry, Steve asks Brenda if she is ready to ask April to move in with them. Because remember what Brenda said, that her and April are getting along so much better. They're communicating better. Everything is just better now. They're cooking pupusas, they're laughing, they're talking. And so he's like, okay, so are you ready for her to move in with us? And Brenda's like, no. There's still some more conversations that need to be had. As such as what, girl? What are y'all waiting for? Either y'all are going to do this or you're not going to do this. And if you're not ready to do this, then why are you on this show? This show is called Seeking Sister Wife, not seeking a person that could potentially be a sister wife. So, like, what's happening? Like I said, in the previous seasons, people had already moved in by now. Okay, there was that one family. I cannot remember their name because I never can remember anybody's name. But it was the African American family where they had the girl from South Africa come live with them. I mean, this girl moved her daughter, all her two daughters. She had two daughters all the way from South Africa. Boom, she was living with them. They had another sister wife. Boom, already living with them, getting married. They had these two women move in with them immediately almost. And here we are with the Foleys. No one has moved in anywhere. They're nowhere near. I'm just like, wow. I guess the season is going to end with nobody moving in. No sister wife moving in. Roberta stuck in Brazil. Dannielle, I don't know what the hell's going on over there with Dannielle and Dannielle and Nick. I'm just like, come on. Anyways, so after Brenda says no, she is not ready for April to move in, Steve says, but I think we're almost there. And then Brenda was like, Brenda, what is going on? Why are you pretending to get along with April if you're not getting along with April and you don't want her anywhere near your man on a 24-hour basis? Like, what's happening? Do you like her? Do you not like her? Are you friends or you're not friends? Because April said that she'd rather be your friend if things didn't work out than to stick with Steve. So that makes us think that y'all are like completely on the same page and y'all are like this, BFFs, best friends forever. So what's the problem, Brenda? Moving on to the Eps. Marcus, Taryn, and India. So Janae has agreed to meet with Taryn in India. She doesn't like polygamy. She doesn't understand it. It's not for her. It's very strange and weird. She wants her man all to herself. She doesn't share. But then she's talking to the two sister wives about what is it like to be in a polygamous relationship. So the first thing that Janae talks about, or she asks about, is finances. She says, so can one of y'all just quit working and then living off the other? Because I'm not about that. And so they tell her, you know what? No, it's not really like that. But during the pandemic, when we had to homeschool the kids, Taryn was able to quit her job and be home with the children while I guess Marcus and India continued to work. She says otherwise it would not have worked. It would have been a problem because they would not have had anyone to stay home with the kids. And so in that aspect, the fact that they were a polygamous family, it worked out to their advantage when it came to staying home with the children. Then they talk about physical time. And Janae was like, I have to have my man with me every night. I have to be in the bed with him every night. Even if we're not doing anything, I just want him close to me every single night. If I'm having a hard day, he's there to make me feel better, to comfort me, kiss me on the forehead. And I have to have that every night. And so they tell her that Marcus is really good at spreading himself around his wives. He makes sure that he gives ample time to all of his wives. And, India said something kind of funny. I forgot what she said, but anyways. And then Janae asked Taryn, well, how did you feel that was your husband? And then when y'all reconciled, he was already with somebody else. And then Taryn said something like, I forgot what she said, but she referred to India as his girlfriend. Like, when we got back together, India was his girlfriend. And India was like, a fiance. Whatever, girlfriend, fiance, it doesn't make any difference. He only has one wife. So what difference does it make? And he can't marry you. So what difference does it make? Relax. So Taryn believes that Janae is still a very strong candidate for this lifestyle because she's still sticking around. She's still there. Janae, sweetheart, I need to have a heart to heart with you. You say this is not for you. You can't, this is just not your thing. You need your man all to yourself. You don't share, blah, blah, blah. Girl, if I see your face one more time on this show, I'm going to know something. That this is exactly what you're looking for. That something about this is very intriguing. Maybe it's not the lifestyle that you're really after, but maybe you want some Marcus in your life. And so you're willing to join this polygamous lifestyle so that you can be with Marcus. Now, Marcus to me seems like one of those, small statured men who have a lot of confidence in them. And what they lack in height, they make up for in confidence, charisma, determination, motivation, all those things. Kind of like reminds me of Al Pacino in The Godfather. Al Pacino, his character, like he was short. He was a short guy, but he was a very powerful guy. And so that's why, it was easy for women to be drawn to him. And maybe that's what it is about Marcus. He's very short. He's very small, but he's just got this confidence about him and just this magnetism about him that, Janae just can't resist, because she says that there's this attraction between her and Marcus that's like irresistible. There's definitely a huge attraction between her and Marcus. And maybe Janae feels like she wants to kind of, I don't know, but if I see her again, I'm gonna know something. I will know something, that this is what she's into. This is what she's very curious about. Because by this time, Janae, you should have already packed your bags. You should have already been on a plane back to wherever your home is. And we should never have seen you again after that first time, because we've seen that before, where a polygamous family will meet a potential for the first time. The potential's like, I'm not down with this, and we never see them again. So Janae, why are you still here? This is your third episode now. You're practically a cast member. Are you also going to be a housemate? Anyways, that's my review. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, do not forget to rate the video. And if you like it, do not forget to subscribe. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.